Now at 5, some Kansas business owners will receive property tax and rent rebates.
Russian forces are bearing down on Ukraine's second largest city. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington, where U.S. military leaders are coordinating with other countries to continue to support Ukrainian troops.
And how the U.S. Air Force is helping to get baby formula to stores.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
State authorities are investigating a house explosion in Chanute, Kansas, after a person was found dead in the home. This is KOAM News at 5. Firefighters got the call Saturday morning of a fire at 1420 South Evergreen in Chanute. Authorities say there was no fire, but one wall of the home had been blown out by an explosion and 3 other exterior walls and the roof were significantly damaged. Crews took precautions to prevent a further collapse of the home, then went in and found the body. They have not yet released the victim's identity. The ATF and State Fire Marshal's Office are helping with the investigation. Let's check in with Nick Kelly for our first look at the weather.
We had a pretty quiet day overall down, at least to start things out, but a lot of cloud cover building in up top, really hinting at increasing moisture and rain chances eager to build in. The northern half of the viewing area is dry for now, but notice the rain really starting to increase in coverage and even intensity, especially in northeastern, northern, and central Oklahoma. That is in advance of a couple of storm systems, one in the upper levels out west and one surface coming in from the southwest. Both, however, eager to ramp up our rain chances around here. Still a bit of a mild day though, lower to middle 60s, which is where we're still sitting right now. It's just a slow drop in temperatures, only dropping back into the middle to upper 50s as our rain chances continue to pick up. So with full weather, we're tracking below normal temperatures for the next few days. Rain chances that could really add up, maybe some minor flooding concerns, and the Memorial Weekend now is looking warm, but do we have to contend with rain chances? We'll break it all down here in a few.
See you then. The Click It or Ticket campaign is underway across the nation this week. It's a reminder to drivers heading into the holiday weekend to always buckle up. It also provides grant money to local law enforcement agencies so they can put extra deputies on the road to enforce seatbelt laws and keep other drivers safe. The Newton County Sheriff Chris Jennings says around 65% of car accident deaths in Missouri are people who are not buckled up.
I can't even begin to go over the importance in all my years of law enforcement. I've seen a lot of people die in car wrecks, and a lot of them did not need to die. It's just the stats themselves show seatbelts save lives.
We're going to hear more about the campaign tonight at 6. On the last day of their session today, Kansas lawmakers in both chambers voted to approve a bill allowing some business owners to receive property tax and rent rebates. The bill would allocate $50 million in federal COVID-19 relief funding for the rebates. Businesses that were forced to shut down during the pandemic would be eligible for up to $5,000 in rebates or property taxes or rent paid during that time. Businesses that received more than $150,000 in COVID relief would not be eligible. The bill now heads to the governor's desk. High-ranking U.S. officials hosted their counterparts from nearly 50 countries for the second meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said they now have a sharp sense of Ukraine's military needs and the situation on the ground as fierce fighting continues in the east. Meanwhile, another major U.S. company has announced it's leaving Russia. Reporter Skyler Henry has more from Washington.
We're here to help Ukraine for the long haul.
U.S. defense officials say Monday's virtual meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group was very successful, with around 20 countries pledging new military assistance to Ukraine.
We're intensifying our efforts. And moving forward, we'll continue to deepen our coordination and cooperation so that Ukraine can sustain and strengthen its battlefield operations.
Intense fighting continues in eastern Ukraine, where its second largest city, Kharkiv, faces renewed shelling. There are concerns Russian forces could launch an offensive there, just days after Ukraine's military regained control. A Russian 21-year-old soldier was sentenced to life in prison in Ukraine's first war crimes trial since the invasion began. He pled guilty to shooting and killing an unarmed civilian, saying he was following orders. President Biden invoked the war in Ukraine during his first official trip to Asia. While there over the weekend, he also signed the nearly $40 billion Ukraine aid bill.
I believe what Putin is attempting to do is eliminate the identity of Ukraine. He can't occupy it but he can try to destroy its identity.
Citing the invasion Monday, Starbucks announced it will join other major companies, including McDonald's, in pulling out of Russia completely. During a virtual address to the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on all foreign businesses to leave Russia and push for more sanctions. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin says the Ukraine Defense Contact Group will meet again next month in person during his trip to Brussels, Belgium. Still ahead, a virus update.
The CDC is warning doctors to be on the lookout for the monkeypox virus. I'm Elise Preston with President Biden's reaction to the concerning global spread.
And how having a dog in the house could impact your child's long-term health. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, the monkeypox virus is causing concern among global health experts. The illness is rarely seen outside Africa, but the World Health Organization is reporting more than 90 cases in 12 countries, including the U.S. Elise Preston has the latest now from New York.
Health officials are watching closely for the potential spread of monkeypox in the U.S. So far, the CDC has confirmed one case in Boston. There are suspected cases in Broward County, Florida, and New York City.
This should be taken seriously.
But Dr. John LaPook says there are huge differences between monkeypox and COVID-19 that has killed millions worldwide.
We've known about monkeypox for more than 60 years. There are vaccines, there are therapeutics. We have a lot of experience dealing with it.
Monkeypox is a virus found in wild animals like rodents and monkeys. When it infects people, symptoms include fever, headache, aches and pains, fatigue, and swollen lymph nodes. Within several days, a rash develops that progresses to raised blisters that turn into scabs. The illness usually lasts 2 to 4 weeks. The patient in New York City is being isolated and treated as positive while waiting for final confirmation from the CDC. During a 2003 outbreak of monkeypox in the U.S., 47 people became ill, but nobody died.
We've had this monkeypox in larger numbers in the past.
While traveling in Asia, President Biden said the U.S. has the necessary tools to fight the virus.
I just don't think it rises to the level of the kind of concern that existed with COVID-19.
Health experts say the virus can be transmitted through body fluids, skin, and respiratory droplets, but it usually requires close personal contact to spread. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Possible treatments for monkeypox include a variation of the smallpox vaccine, antiviral drugs, and antibodies. The state of Massachusetts took a harder hit from the COVID-19 Omicron variant than from Delta. That's according to a study out of Brigham and Women's Hospital, which found more people in the state died during the 8-week Omicron surge in the winter of 2021 compared to the 23-week period when Delta was the dominant strain. A new study being presented at Digestive Disease Week suggests man's best friend could be your toddlers as well. Researchers found children who grew up with a dog or in a large family seem to have healthier gut bacteria later in life and lowering the risk of developing Crohn's disease. And less alcohol may be better for your cardiovascular health. That's according to researchers in Europe who recommend drinking no more than 1 bottle of wine or 3.5 cans of beer per week in order to minimize the risk of potential harm to your health. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, progress on efforts to get more baby formula on store shelves.
But first, after a dry start to the day, rain chances are the main focus of the forecast. We'll see if it can clear out by the weekend coming up. We might have kept dry throughout much of the day, but the increasing clouds is an ever-increasing sign of rain chances really wanting to work in from the southwest. But throughout the couple of hours around here, especially earlier this afternoon, any rain that tried to sneak in mainly skirted along the Missouri-Arkansas state line. But you can clearly see more rain, maybe a couple of random little thunder showers trying to sneak out of north central, central, and northeastern Oklahoma. That's the increasing rain. That looks going to eventually overtake more of the area as we we go through the overnight. And with several days of rain lining up in moderate to heavy rain, parts of southeast Kansas are under a flood watch until midnight going into Wednesday. We'll break down how much rain is forecast to come, at least within the next few days, but it looks dry for now. Cloudy skies from Indigo Sky and from 7th and Rangeline, with Joplin sitting at 61 with that east breeze at 9 and the humidity at 67%. Everybody's either near 60 or in the mid 60s, everybody else in between the two. And with the increasing clouds and the rain chances, we're not going to drop off very much, only from the lower to middle 60s now to about the middle to upper 50s as we go into the overnight. Again, we're not going to drop off very much because of what's really picking up out of central Oklahoma, redeveloping rain and storms emanating from Oklahoma City. That's because of a surface low finally beginning to work across the southern Rockies and this broad upper level low that's got several waves of energy running along the jet, which is passed just to the south. And that is going to lead to at least few isolated showers to start the evening out, and then an increase in the rain and even some thunderstorms as we go into Tuesday morning, and periods of rain and storms that will be moderate to heavy at times as we go into tomorrow afternoon. With this setup though, I'm not expecting anything too strong or severe, but can't rule out the strongest of the showers and storms producing some moderate to heavy rainfall. And with at least some dry time, and despite all the clouds, we'll go from 56 in the morning at Joplin, 65 by noon. We'll push highs around 68. Everybody's, let's say, mid to upper 60s for afternoon highs tomorrow. The rain machine, though, just keeps on cranking with the showers and storms going into Tuesday night, and then we'll just back things down to scattered showers by the time we head into Wednesday afternoon. But in the short term, this is primarily why those flood watches are out. As the rain chances really pick up, taking us through Wednesday afternoon alone, much of the area could see between 1 to 3 inches of rain, but you can see these heavier embedded pockets of red trying to indicate rain amounts pushing up to 4 inches of rain. That could certainly lead to some minor flooding if we can't spread these rain chances out. So that's something we're definitely watching as we continue to see this slow moving storm system stick with us through tomorrow, Wednesday, and maybe as we go into Thursday. But by the holiday weekend, that system's out of here. We're quiet to start the weekend out. Maybe a few weak waves with maybe random storm chances Saturday and Sunday, but Memorial Day, not looking bad right now. It's looking dry as we definitely trend warmer for the holiday weekend. Let's go 68 tomorrow, 70 on Wednesday, back into the upper 60s on Thursday, 77 on Friday, and then the rest of the holiday weekend down, lower to middle 80s for highs. Overall, the holiday weekend's looking dry, thankfully. Maybe a few random storms Saturday morning and Sunday morning, but for now, much of the holiday weekend's looking dry.
And the temperature's at least tolerable.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick. People in the northeastern U.S. have been trying to deal with an unseasonable heat wave, but they're doing it any way they can. A sizzling heat wave has blanketed a wide swath of the eastern U.S. It's pushed temperatures in New York and Boston to near record highs. Forecasters say the mercury could reach the mid to upper 90s. Normally at this time of year, that region enjoys cool springtime weather in the upper 60s, mid 70s. A nearly week-old wildfire in the central Texas county of Taylor appears to be a bit more than half contained now. The Texas A&M Forest Service says it's burned more than 11,000 acres, destroyed at least 27 homes and many other structures. At the same time, look at this. Colorado has been dealing with a snowstorm and unseasonable cold. The wintry conditions left tens of thousands without power in parts of Colorado over the weekend as temperatures plummeted across that state. When severe weather strikes, you're going to want to stay informed, and you can do that by scanning this QR code. It'll take you to the KOAM News Now YouTube page, where our weather team will live stream during severe weather events to keep you updated. While you're there, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Here's a look at our tower camera, sponsored by R.E. Smith Construction, as work continues on the KOAM More Power project. Check it out anytime. It's on our website, koamnewsnow.com/power. Coming up, the Jif peanut butter recall. First, though, we honor a local World War II veteran. Ralph Smith served as a tank driver with the U.S. Army stationed in Europe. The Iola, Kansas native received a Silver Star and 2 Purple Hearts. Captain Ralph Smith, a 4-state hero. To learn about lots of other heroes from all across this area, or to submit a hero of your own anytime, all you have to do is go to our website. Again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a Salmonella outbreak has prompted a Jif peanut butter recall. According to the CDC, 14 people have fallen ill in 12 states. 2 cases were serious enough to require hospitalization. The recall includes several varieties of Jif peanut butter, but only those that were produced at its plant in Lexington, Kentucky. Go to this story on KOAMnewsnow.com for a link to more specific information on the recall. The Biden administration says parents and caregivers can expect to find more baby formula on store shelves as early as this week. An Air Force cargo plane carrying 39 tons of formula landed in Indianapolis on Sunday. Naomi Ruckham reports on efforts to alleviate the nationwide infant formula shortage.
The Air Force cargo plane carried 39 tons of formula, enough to fill more than 500,000 bottles. The specialty formula for babies with allergies to cow's milk was manufactured in a Nestle plant in Switzerland.
This particular shipment is going to be distributed immediately to hospitals and clinics around the country. So it's just a matter of getting it to the distribution center, getting the distribution center to put it in a truck. The truck is going to deliver it. So we're going to be seeing deliveries made in a matter of days.
The Biden administration says a second flight with formula is scheduled to leave Germany soon and will be trucked to Pennsylvania when it arrives in the U.S. Kim Anatra is hoping the overseas shipments will help her. The Texas mother is on her last can of formula for 5-month-old Sienna.
I haven't seen any on the shelves. I have a cousin who works for Walgreens and he hasn't seen this one come in weeks.
She started introducing Sienna to solid foods early.
Typically would have waited until 6 months, like the pediatricians advise, when they're able to sit up a little more independently.
The critical shortage follows the February closure of the nation's largest domestic formula manufacturing plant due to safety issues. Regulators and Abbott Nutrition hope to reopen the Michigan plant next week, but it may take 2 months before that formula arrives in stores. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
The White House also announced it invoked the National Defense Production Act to allow Abbott and formula company Reckitt to receive priority orders of raw materials to increase production. The 2022 World Economic Forum is now underway in Davos, Switzerland. Nearly 2,500 political and business leaders are expected to attend at least part of the 5-day gathering. It's the World Economic Forum's first in-person event in more than 2 years. More than 1% of the world has been forcibly displaced, according to a new report from the United Nations Refugee Agency. 100 million people have fled conflict, violence, human rights violations, and persecution. About half of those remain within the borders of their country. The war in Ukraine and other deadly conflicts are mostly to blame. Final check of the forecast ahead, but first, Wall Street bounces back a bit after some recent losses. Up next on the CBS Evening News, what you need to know about a staggering increase in phone scams targeting the elderly. Then on KOAM News at 6, the latest poor ranking from Missouri concerning puppy mills. Plus, Chris Warner has details of the Click It or Ticket campaign as law officers try to get people to buckle up for their own safety. And an Oklahoma man gets to meet the first responders who saved his life. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. It was the last of its kind in New York City. Today, the city removed its only remaining public payphone. It was located on 7th Avenue and 50th Street in downtown Midtown Manhattan. As recently as 2014, there were more than 6,000 public payphones across New York City's 5 boroughs. The city began replacing them with Wi-Fi hotspots in 2015. Link NYC, which operates the hotspots, also provides other services, including device charging and free phone calls within the U.S. There are still some payphones in public places in New York City, but they are privately operated. Now, for those of you who are too young to understand, let me explain. Telephones used to be hooked up to wires. At one point, they were connected to things like walls, and they would be sitting on the desktop in some cases. And what they had these little slots where you would put coins, which are a form of money that used to be around before they had plastic money.
Yeah, like 25 cents for a local call.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, the weather.
Rain chances are going to be ramping up over the next few days. Despite that, we'll keep highs in the upper 60s to near 70.
See you right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.